Okay, I am here, Lauren Cohen, on election day in the US, God help us all, with my good friend Maria Rekrut from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. The flag
Hi.
on the top in the behind me, right? Notice it's on the top. Okay, we won't go there. So I met Maria, I don't know, a year and a bit ago, I think, on Facebook.
Yes.
Facebook has been very kind to me. And Maria is like the person that all of us epitomize to be like, because she was ahead of the curve, especially as a woman that
Yes.
invested in real estate when women didn't invest in real estate. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a big deal. So Maria and my mom was in real estate, but only invested like in one or two properties. My mom was in real estate. I grew up in real estate, Maria.
Yeah.
So my mom was in real estate in Toronto forever. I wish she had never gotten out of it now that I'm
Yeah.
with EXP and making such amazing
Yeah.
strides. But the
Absolutely.
truth is that your dad, so let's backtrack a bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce you because we could just talk. So I
Oh,
am
I'd
Lauren
love to
Cohen.
talk. I'd love to talk
That's right.
because a lot of stuff comes out. The
A
truth
lot of
comes out.
stuff. And
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
talk and talk as Canadian
Yeah.
girls. But my
Absolutely.
name is Lauren Cohen, and I am the host of this podcast, Investing Across Borders. I am a cross-border lawyer from Ontario, Maria's home province,
Yeah.
now living and serving clients in South Florida, which is a beautiful place to be at this time of
Yes.
year, despite coronavirus.
Yes.
And I am also a licensed realtor. And I help people find ways to invest, live, work, and play across borders. And I met Maria through, I don't even know, some women's group or something about real estate. And I was just so blown away because she was literally ahead of her time. Really, how many women, well, even now, I mean, you
Yeah.
look at women like, much younger than me in their 20s, and they're like, real estate's so foreign, and men just take it for granted. Like you just,
Yes.
there, I was doing EB5 for a long time, which is commercial real estate in the US. It's basically raising money from foreign nationals. And I will tell you that the number of female developers
Hmm.
is like nil,
I
maybe
know. I
1%.
know. I know.
Okay.
I know. Yeah. I
So
know.
Maria, tell us a little bit. Tell us, like, where did this all come from? I know your dad was always taught you this. It's like Monopoly. We have to get
Yeah.
real estate to
Yeah.
get rich, right? Like that's
Absolutely. Absolutely. My dad was an immigrant after the Second World War. My mom
right.
and my dad came from Europe after the
Sure.
Second World War. They had nothing. They had 25 cents in their pocket and they moved out to Winnipeg. So I'm originally from
Ah,
Manitoba. I'm a Westerner. Okay.
okay.
I don't know. One of your best friends is out in Alberta, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and my dad, like he didn't even understand the language or speak the language. So they started from the bottom up. And then my dad started to buy real estate. I remember
Mm-hmm.
watching him fixing and cleaning and building with his immigrant friends. And he always said, how do you think I'm taking care of you bambinos? He loved us. There was 5 of us bambinos. He says, because of real estate, he said, because he had a regular job and and then he was building and working on real estate. He was an investor. And so he says, that's how I've made my money. You've got to get into that too. And so I remember when I was in New York City, I had a business in New York City, Lauren. You can understand that. And everything in New York City was supposed to have been done yesterday, right? So
Oh
I
yeah.
knew the pace is so fast,
So
but boy,
fast.
do you learn about business. And I remember going to a seminar. I don't know which group gave it, and they said how to buy your first property with no money down. I thought, wow, how do I do that, right?
Right.
So that kept in the back of my mind, and I kept reading about it. And then I moved to Canada, and I moved into the Niagara region because my parents were here. And I thought, my father says, you've got to buy real estate. I said, yeah, but where am I going to get the money, Poppy? Can you lend me some money? He says, no. I said, okay. So I went to the credit union and I applied there. Like, credit unions are great if you're starting out.
Yeah.
And they said, yes, we'll
Well,
give you the money.
let's just interrupt you for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Credit union.
Yeah.
So, what is the difference, Maria, between a credit
Mhm.
union, especially in Canada? Because in Canada, it's their banks are,
Yes.
it's connected with the government. There's charter banks. It's a very different
Yes.
banking
Yes.
system. So,
Yes.
tell me what is different about a credit union in Canada?
Oh, well, first of all, you're a member, so they treat you better. They remember your name. They know who you are. I mean, I do transactions on by phone because they know who I am by
Right.
voice. I
Hmm.
don't have to go in, and it's the same people there for 30 years or 40 years, so they're not changing over like the banks do, Lauren.
Right.
That's the
Correct.
first advantage. Next of all, they're trying to support and help small businesses
Hmm.
or real estate investors or whatever. So that I would say that's the biggest difference. And they have great service. They don't charge you an arm and a leg. So I would say that's for me. That's why I chose my credit union. I still have my major account, business account, is with the credit union because I mean I'm loyal to them since listen to this 1987.
Wow.
1987. I'm still
And
with
they're
them.
still in business. That's a big
Yeah,
deal too.
yeah, of course. Well, we don't have banks go under like you
No, you
guys do.
definitely do
You
not.
know, we
We
don't
do
have
not.
that. So that's the first thing. So they gave me a first mortgage. They gave me a second mortgage, and then I borrowed money from a family member.
Hmm.
And but at the end of it all, after many years, I found it was actually my father who gave it to the family member to lend it to me. He never wanted me to go to him.
Oh, so you didn't
My
know it was
father's
him.
very tricky, but he wanted to
Yeah.
teach me how to become independent. And then I had $5,000 down, so I put it down. So I bought my first house in 1988. After looking for 2.5 years, putting multiple offers, not getting it, and I finally got my first house. And I lived in there for 12 years, paid off my third mortgage, which was was my family member, was actually my dad, paid
Hmm.
off my second mortgage, and I had only one mortgage. And then in 2000, I wanted to buy more properties. And again, I said, Pop, can you lend me money? He said no again. So what I did is I went and found out what the value was. So I refinanced my property, pulled out a ton of money, and bought my second house, and then had enough money as a down payment to buy two more properties. So I was able
Yeah.
to buy within a year, 2 years, three properties out of my own little house that had so much equity, Lauren.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's how I started. And I've been doing it. I've still refinanced. I just refinanced one property in August. I'm refinancing another property this month. And so that's how somebody can gain money and equity. When you're gaining equity, when you buy a good piece of property, you're gaining equity, take the money out and buy another property with it.
It's like the same thing like with gambling, okay? It's
Yes.
not risky like gambling, but
Yeah.
one of the things, I'm not a gambler, but
Me
when I
neither.
go to
Me neither.
Vegas or something, which hasn't happened in a while, or Niagara Falls,
Yeah.
and you have you take $100
Yeah.
or a couple of thousand, whatever it
Yeah.
is, and
Yeah.
as long as you put that original investment back in your pocket, you just keep reinvesting, and then you're kind of you're always going to be increasing your wealth, and that's
Yeah.
really what it's
Yeah.
about,
Yeah,
right?
it is. That's exactly what it is. You increase your wealth through the properties that you own already. You don't even have to
Hmm.
go to the bank if you don't want to, right?
Right.
Yeah. And
So do
that
you
and
always buy, tell me about what your favorite model of real estate investing is. Is it buy
uh
and hold, buy and flip?
buy and hold,
What's
buy and hold.
Burr?
I've done burrs, I've done fix and flips, but the one I like the most is buy and hold,
Hmm.
because as it gains in equity, I can pull the money out, is tax free, and I can invest it again. So that's my strategy basically, is hold on to good properties, get great tenants in there that pay above market rents, because I make sure about that. I don't just rent to anybody. It takes me months before I find the right tenants or guests. Once I've got them in there, it's problem free. And then I just work on refinancing or looking for another piece of property. But that's pretty much the way I've done it all these years. Yep.
Now you have children, right?
No, I have no children. Yeah. That
Oh,
helps a lot. That
interesting.
makes
No, I
a
was gonna
big
say, are your
difference.
kids
Yeah.
in real estate?
Yeah. No.
Uh-huh. Well, you know what though? You have so many people that you're teaching as their mentor,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I am.
So,
Yeah.
so what one of the things that so most of your properties, all of your property, all of your investments are in Canada.
Yes, they are.
But
Yes.
that's because that's where you started. That was always your focus. But I know we
Yes.
talked a little before the show about
Yes.
how anybody that's developing their
Yes.
portfolio or
Yes.
profile,
Yes.
especially now because the US market is opening up,
Yes.
should invest in the US. So tell us a little bit about why you think that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I could go back 20 years, I would be investing in the United States. But that's okay. It is what it is right now, right?
Hmm.
I'll tell you many advantages. I mean, you've got so many states that have different laws, so you can always find a state where you can purchase a property for $40,000, $30,000, and do a burr with it, right? I mean, you can do that. You can do a
Hmm.
fix and flip.
Hmm.
Rent to own. You can do rent to owns with them because it's such a low threshold to get into the business This is why I would suggest to anyone to start investing in the United States. But be careful where you invest. Do your research, because I know a lot of investors from Canada before. I had met a lot of them that were investing in the United States, in Niagara Falls, New York,
Yeah.
and in Rochester.
Uh-huh.
But they bought in the wrong areas.
Yeah.
So they went belly up, or they had to sell or whatever. You really, I mean, it doesn't matter where you're purchasing. Make sure you buy in great neighborhoods. And I know you'll agree with this, Lauren.
Of course.
Location, location,
Location,
location.
location,
Yeah.
location.
You've got to, because the United States have streets that are different. They change from one side of the street to another
So
side of the
much.
street. We
It's
don't
not
have
like
that.
Canada.
No, not at all.
You
We
can
don't
just
have that
like
at all.
in Boca Raton, which is where I live, there are
Yeah.
parts of Boca that you don't want to be in, and people don't
Exactly.
realize that, but it's true.
Exactly. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you can literally drive like a kilometer,
Yeah.
and you're in a not good area.
Yeah.
And there's like crack houses and all kinds of stuff, and you definitely don't want to be there. It's very,
No.
very interesting how different it is.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. The other thing that I noticed when I was traveling to the United States, when I used to go down to Florida once a year, I would go through towns that actually were completely abandoned,
Mhm.
which we don't have here, right?
No.
I mean, in the United States, I would go through and I thought, why did they abandon this town, right? Completely abandoned.
Well, unless you watch Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm missing that program, obviously.
Oh my
So
gosh.
there's a big difference, but there's lots of opportunities. And I would suggest that if anyone's going to invest in the United States, that they partner up with somebody who knows the
100%.
laws.
Right.
A lawyer like yourself that can, get people in and out, understand the legalities
Yes.
of starting a real estate business in the United States, right?
Right.
The other thing too is where you're going to get the funds for it. I mean, I hope in the future, quite frankly, Lauren, that the banks will start investing with Canadian investors who come to the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and will take us seriously, because we have, if you have an investor from Canada that's done well, like myself, 20 years, right? When I enter a market, even a new market, I'm not going to do foolish mistakes. I'm not going to make foolish mistakes. If I haven't made foolish mistakes in 20 years in Canada, why would I make a foolish mistake in the United States?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the bankers on your side, or anybody else who wants to go into partnerships with us, should be looking at us as really good potential business people that will always give you a return on your investment, because we're forced in this country to do that. We're forced in this country to take care of the return on investments, right? We
Right.
just can't walk away from houses and leave them, or not pay taxes for years on end. We don't get away with stuff like that. In the United States, they can, right?
So one of the other options there is to partner up with somebody that does have a banking relationship, or does have that access to the funds, and create a joint venture, which is what a lot of Canadians do. Canadians partner with other Canadians that have already invested in the US, or Canadians partnering with US with people that are in the US. So, and another thing that I strongly recommend, and this is obviously a little self-serving because I am a realtor, but when you're investing in the US, you definitely want to invest with a realtor, because if you don't use a realtor, you will end up in those areas that you don't want to be. And you have to be super careful, because you are investing across borders. And that brings me to another thing.
Mhm.
Investing across borders also brings into play a lot of potential, like you said, legality issues. But then there's also issues about what happens when you are a Canadian investor investing in the US.
Yes.
What happens to you in Canada?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And a lot of US and a lot of Canadian investors in the US have been misguided, because they're advised on what works in the US, but it doesn't mean it works in Canada.
Yes.
And this is
I
true.
agree.
Let's talk about 1031 exchange, which I know
Yes, I
you
love
love.
that. I love that idea. I wish we had that in Canada. Oh my God.
Right. I mean, everybody does. It's a great way to be an investor. You basically buy a property, you sell the property, and you take that investment and invest in another property within a certain period of time. We've talked about this on the other shows I've had.
Yes.
Now, anybody from any country can potentially qualify for this. You don't have to be a US resident or citizen or even hold a visa.
Mhm.
The problem with Canadians is that the CRA discounts it, okay? Because they don't like it.
No,
Otherwise,
of
they'd
course not.
have it,
They
right?
want the money. They want
They
the
want
money.
the money.
Show me the money. Show me
It's
the
all
money.
about show me the money, right? So, but there are ways to be creative about it. It's all about having that right guidance. And if you are going to be investing in real estate or in any business in Canada or the US, you
Mhm.
do not want to do it alone.
No, you can't.
You can't,
There's no way you can do it anymore. No, especially in a different country. I mean, that's really
especially.
dangerous. That's
So you
dangerous.
need to work with people that you can trust to guide you through the process. And Maria, now you are launching some masterminds. Why don't you tell us a
Yes.
little about that?
Yes, I just had one mastermind. It's for real estate investors and landlords who want to learn more about, being able to get more equity out of your homes and also getting better tenants. We talk about the short-term rentals. We talk about how to find a good lawyer, paralegal, what kind of insurance you should be getting. It's all, my masterminds are all related of how to become a stronger business person. And what's really interesting, Lauren, is that most of the people in my group are women. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to see more women getting into real estate because that truly is the only way a woman can become really self-sufficient is through
Mm-hmm.
real estate. And I know you'll agree with that because you saw.
100%. You're never,
Yeah.
my mom always taught me that
Mhm.
you're never going to get rich from having a job.
No, never.
I
My
got a
father
law
said the same thing.
degree as a
Yeah.
backup, like
Yeah.
to make sure that I would always be okay. She
Yes.
was not,
Yeah.
there was no way I wasn't going to get an advanced degree. She didn't want me to
Sure.
ever be dependent on a man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's a
I'm the
whole
same.
other story.
Yeah, I know. Another time.
Another
That
story
did
for
the
another,
same
it's
thing
another
with me.
podcast.
Yeah, another podcast.
But the reality is that as women, we ultimately have responsibility for our
Yeah.
families
Yeah.
and for our futures, and we have to take control of that. And the best way to do that is by
Mhm.
investing in real estate,
Yes.
and investing in real estate not only in Canada where the market is so limited, but in
Mm-hmm.
the
Yes.
US. Now that also applies to Americans that are interested in investing in Canada, because the dollar is going to go further and
Oh,
there are
yes.
opportunities
Oh,
that will be
yes.
opening up,
Yeah.
especially
Yes.
who knows what's going to happen today, but that's
Yes,
another story.
exactly.
But with that being said, I don't know why there's a bug flying around, but with that
No,
being said,
I have a fly flying around. Is that interesting? You got one there, I've got
oh,
one
maybe
here.
it's the same one. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
maybe.
Yours is coming from the snow and mine isn't.
That's it.
There
Yeah.
you go. But the truth is that you've got, like, there's a lot of considerations that you have to think about when you're investing in real estate, especially across borders, and having that right guidance and making sure that you have the right financing in place and the right
Mm-hmm.
partners in place and the right
Mm-hmm.
documents in place, and that you
Yes.
set up your corporate structure properly. This is important for you,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're investing domestically or across borders, and you really need to have
Yeah.
that structure and guidance. So Maria, tell us a little bit about all the places where people can find you.
Oh, on all the social media, Facebook under Maria Rekrut. That's Maria. Last name is Rekrut. I'm on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere you can find me. And I have my website, realwealthrealestate.com. Absolutely.
Realwealthrealestate.com.
Realestate.com. Yeah. So I look forward. I mean, if anyone wants to know more about investing in Canada, and if anyone wants to know more about investing in US, I'm going to send them to you, Lauren. But I'm going to probably have you as one of my mastermind guests to come on and talk about investing in the USA, because we
Absolutely.
have to start looking outside of our area.
You have
Ontario
to.
has become it's so ridiculous.
It's
It's so
crazy.
ridiculous now
The
what's going on.
prices are crazy. The taxes are
It's not worth
insane.
it. But it's
Right.
not worth it. It's just not worth,
Yeah.
all these multiple offers for
I
what?
know. For what?
And
People,
then
my mom is always like, Lauren, you need to move home, especially over this whole COVID. I'm like, where would I live, Mom? In a
yeah,
shack? Like,
yeah,
where would
yeah,
I live? I mean, I live in a nice home in Boca Raton. It's not very expensive.
yeah.
If I plop this house in Toronto, it would be $3 million.
Of course it would. No, just stay where you are. You've got the beautiful weather. You've got the better weather than we have. I
We
mean, like
definitely do.
I enjoy the weather here. I don't mind it anymore because I'm working on my computer all the time. I'm
Right.
mostly inside, except especially now with the COVID. Otherwise, I'd be out networking, right? Just like you,
Of course.
right? But
Right.
I mean, I really enjoyed having this time working on my business and the masterminds. I'm looking so forward to getting more women involved with that, and I'm going to have online courses in the future. I have a YouTube channel. If people want to find me under my name, Maria Rekrut, or Real Wealth Real Estate, you can find me there
On
YouTube.
YouTube.
I have a podcast, Anchor podcast, Maria Rekrut. I'm on 3 radio stations. So if you go on Facebook, you'll see me where I am. Just
Maria
follow
is
me.
definitely out there
I
she is
am.
there. You can find her, you can connect with
I'm
her,
happy to
and she
talk
is
to
a
you.
wealth of knowledge and information. And I thank you so much for joining us
My
today.
pleasure, my pleasure,
You're
Laura.
one of my launch. I'm launching tomorrow, so you're one of my launch parties. So there you go.
Oh,
Well, thank you again,
fantastic.
Maria. You have a great rest of your
Thank
day,
you.
and we will speak very soon.